On this channel, I've documented the how Bernie Sanders and all of the politicians that came up through the Bernie Sanders industrial complex, they were all sellouts. They all actively and every single day they wake up, they continue to make the same decision to prioritize their career ambitions and their position and maintaining their position as the top 1%, as some of the most powerful elites in this country, and all of the privilege and comforts that come with that, over all of the promises that they've made to the millions of people across the country in order to get their resources, their time, their energy, and money to get elected. I thought this video or this story with Bernie endorsing Joe Biden, I mean, it's just the latest, revelation, the latest chapter in the book of sellouts. But I thought it was worth making a video because it's just, from where we've come to where we are, completely different rhetoric, and the way that they've really hijacked this movement to turn it into a bunch of incrementalism is really one for the record book. So I'm going to make this video for you all because I know you all regularly engage with people online and in your regular lives who are still holding out hope that Bernie's just playing along, that so that one day when the establishment, if they aren't looking, they're gonna flip the script and they're gonna catch them off guard, and then they're gonna bring about this political revolution and get all the policies like single payer healthcare that every other country in the world has, or a livable wage, combating corporate power. All of those things are going to happen magically one day when Bernie Sanders and the rest of his sellout friends in Washington decide to wake up and challenge power. So I know you all have to deal with people like that regularly, so I'm going to make this video overly short and concise to just make it clear that all of that is just a fantasy, and at this point, if you're still supporting Bernie Sanders or have anything to do with him, you have anything less than contempt for him at this point, really. You're just a liberal. So stop with all of this, oh, I'm fighting hard for single payer, I'm fighting hard for all these policies that we said that we wanted in 2016. You're not doing that if you still support Bernie Sanders, or if you affiliate with him or any of the politicians in his orbit. Before I get into the video, I want to thank you all for continuing to show up, watching, and supporting. It means everything to me. If you can, please donate to help support the show, help support the content. The more you guys donate, the more I can dedicate time to making content for you all. The links to PayPal in the description box, as well as Cash App, Patreon, so you can sign up and be a monthly subscriber. Monthly subscriptions really help a lot for the show. It lets me plan better for how I can spend my time for the next month and the month after that, if I know that I'm going to get a certain amount of money from my monthly subscribers who help keep the show going. So if you could help support any of those ways, I'd greatly appreciate it. So you all know I am not... I've come to the conclusion, and this is not an opinion, this is analysis from somebody who spent hours and hours and hours reviewing the past few decades, as well as my own experience covering politics over the last few years, that absolutely no fundamental necessary change is going to come from the Democratic Party, from electoral politics, but especially from within the Democratic Party. That is not going to happen, as Shama Sawant has said and has been quoted many times since, the road to progressive policies in the Democratic Party leads to a graveyard. But that being said, so I just want to make that clear that I don't have a race, a horse in this race. I really don't give a fuck. Like it's, I feel no personal slight because Bernie Sanders didn't endorse a candidate that I like or something like that. That's not what this is about. It's that this is the man who, in 2016 and 2015 in the primary, galvanized millions of people, raised hundreds of millions of dollars. I did an article about how him and his cabal of sellout progressive politicians have raised hundreds of millions of dollars, not from billionaire corporations like the rest of the Democratic politicians, but from regular poor people. And the reason why they did it, the reason why they were able to create a fundraising machine like no other corporate Democrat can, is because they preyed on the, maybe, let me just not phrase it that way, but because they used the desperation that many people in this country felt, because they realized that all of these existential crises in the economy and in the political system is having all these negative effects on their lives, whether it's the corporate capture that the private health insurance industry and the pharmaceutical industry has over our healthcare system in this country, so much to the point that we're going to let hundreds and thousands of people die and go bankrupt unnecessarily just so that they can continue to make billions of dollars every year. That's disgusting. Bernie Sanders called it out, raised millions of dollars from people, poor people dying because they know that they can't afford the healthcare that they need in this country. So he raised money from them, claiming that he was going to challenge the establishment that put them in, that's created this barbaric system that we have in this country. He's going to challenge them. If we get him elected, we volunteer our hours, after many of us working 40, 50, 60 hours, if we volunteer our, whatever time we have left to getting him elected and getting his friends elected, or then we'll that's how we'll get the political revolution and get those policies. If you give us your last $5, you give us your last $10, your last $25, we're going to fight for those things, right? That's what they said. That's how they gained their popularity. And that's why anybody even pay them any attention at all, is because unlike any other politician, they at least were with it enough to acknowledge that millions of people are disconnected from the political system because they feel left out. They know that this shit is corrupt. They know it's a scam, and that they know that the government is just serving the multinational billion-dollar corporations that bought them through legalized bribery, both the Democratic and Republican Party. So they craft this populist message and take people for a ride, myself included. I was taken for a ride. And then it just a short amount of time, you see that they're completely opposite of what they were selling themselves out as. The person who was talking about how it's an emergency, our healthcare system is an emergency back in 2015, that same guy talking about it's an existential crisis in this country. That same guy goes on and is now the lapdog of a politician who once spent his entire career crafting that corrupt healthcare system and maintaining that corrupt healthcare system that's bankrupted and led to the deaths of millions of people in this country. He's going to go and serve his policy agenda without question, and that includes cuts to Medicare. I mean, and all the other shit that the Biden administration has proposed. He's going to go along with that. That same guy who, in the middle of a pandemic, was going around telling people he would veto any attempts to get single-payer healthcare in this country. That same guy, the so-called healthcare candidate, has no policy disagreements with him on. And it's not just that. I'm just the using the issue of healthcare because it's a very narrow issue, one that he was arguably the best on. and that more people resonate with, to really highlight how he's done a complete 180, and he's a tool of that very same establishment that he claimed to be against. We're 2-3 years into a Biden administration, and they ran on a lot of different things. And of course, Joe Biden's a liar. We all know that. But in rhetoric, he at least said he was going to do a public option 3 years into his administration. When there was a Democratic House, Democratic Senate, and absolutely not a single piece of legislation to advance healthcare in this country. And you're going to turn around the day he announces he's running again, over a year before the election, and you're going to endorse him and not ask for anything in return. What does that tell you? It tells you that all the policy shit, all the people dying, and the hundreds of thousands of people dying every year, the quote that he used to say, all the people going bankrupt, and all of that shit doesn't really mean anything to him. It doesn't mean more than his comfort and his position in Washington as a member of the elite, which he is. So before anybody comes out here and tries to gaslight you and tell you that Bernie Sanders, he's just working on a super secret plan to get us all the things that he promised years ago, I promise you that's not what this is. At every opportunity where he can at least provide some, not even a fight, but mild pushback, mild disagreements with the corrupt corporate party that he's a part of. He won't do it. And again, he ran on challenging the Democratic Party. He ran on busting up the Democratic establishment. And there is absolutely no distinction from him. He is in lockstep with Joe Biden's policies. I'm sure he votes with him 90% of the time. So there is no difference between Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Adam Schiff, any other shitty Democrat, because at the end of the day, they're all working towards the same goals. Stop paying attention to the rhetoric and nice words that they're using that make you think he feels your pain. At the end of the day, when people are agitating and people are challenging the establishment, Bernie Sanders is always going to be on the side of the establishment. Just think about that. If you are, in your mind, you still are unclear, just know anytime he is faced with the choice of challenging the establishment to advance the agenda of the people that he claims to be representing, he's always going to choose to be on the side of the establishment in that fight. So how on earth can you say this is somebody who's on your side? How on earth can you say this is somebody who we agree with 90% of the time? How on earth can you continue to sheep herd people into this man's orbit and, continue to do positive coverage of him and boost up this image as if he's like this figure challenging power when he is there working at the behest of power every single turn. So this is an important moment to highlight. And I'll get into the different candidates in the race, but clearly, I don't think any of them, especially within the Democratic Party, is ever going to do anything really to shake up the establishment. But the fact that he, like I said, immediately goes and endorses the most corrupt, the most in the pocket of the corporations, and the politician that's clearly against the interest of all working people that Bernie Sanders raised hundreds of millions of dollars from. He goes and endorses him without any reservations, without any demands, without any concessions, without anything at all. While you have people nominally saying that they agree with you on policy, and you won't even pay them any mind. Because why? Like I said, his comfort, his position, maintaining his position in the elite club is paramount to everything. His career, his legacy, in Washington D.C. is paramount to everything. That's why he said, and to this day, nobody has ever refuted it. He said to Shamus Dewan and Chris Hedges, "I do not want to end up like Ralph Nader. He is never going to shake up the establishment. People need to stop paying attention to charlatans like Bernie Sanders, because he's going to lead you into doing the same exact thing that's created this dysfunctional political system that we have today."